In this video, I want to share with you some of the things that you should be thinking about as you prepare for your Air Lingus group assessment coming up in the next about week or so, depending on what date you've selected. Now, one of the things I want you to keep in mind is that this is an opportunity to showcase your competences. We always talk about pilot competences on this channel a lot, and that's because that is exactly what airlines want. And they want you to stand out. Now, understand that this assessment that you're going for isn't necessarily testing your technical skills, if I may put it that way, like your aptitude test and your math skills, although it states that you may be asked to retake the online assessments during the assessment center. Okay, so that is something that you could be asked to do again. But when it comes to group assessments, I want you to keep some things in mind. And I hope that this information that I'm going to share would help you. And hopefully you can, demonstrate and showcase the type of person you are, because that is your key thing. When you go into these group assessments, they want to see who you are. They want to know how you work with teams, how you work with groups, and that would really reflect the kind of person you are on the job. Because when it comes to aviation, you're often working with groups of people, different teams, different people from different places. And your ability to communicate, your ability to share ideas, your ability to make decisions, your ability to lead, your ability to also resolve problems or conflict when it comes up in terms of different ideas or different opinions about a specific action to take on a specific problem. Those things are often evaluated on this day. So as you prepare, as you think about different scenarios you may find yourself, I want you to think about this particular information I'm going to share with you and be able to make sure you demonstrate them when you show up to your assessments. If you are new and this is your first time seeing this channel, well, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, thanks for clicking on this one. In this video, this is for, again, those that are going through the Air Lingus Feature Pilot program. I hope that you benefit from this one. If you have, or if you've benefited in my previous videos, in this video, and hopefully you benefit in the future video, there's something that I always ask for, and that is to like and of course share your thoughts in the comment section. It goes a long way. I always try to respond. A lot of times when the comment gets too much, it becomes overwhelming because I also work as well. And in fact, I'm going back to work today, and I said I needed to make this video today for at least to give you guys some time to digest the information. So if you need to watch this video twice, 3 times, take notes. I hope that it benefits you. This program launched again this year in February, and it closed on the 10th of February 2025. They've gone through the screening process, and now the next stage is the group assessment stage. And like I previously mentioned, what is the essence of this stage? The essence of this stage is to be able to demonstrate that you can work within a group, especially in the world of aviation, where you are required to be with a crew, where you work as a team to resolve problems, make decisions, and give necessary directions when important or when you're asked to. Depending on the type of scenario you may get, generally speaking, this is how it goes. You are often put in a room where everybody is waiting, and then they randomly put you guys into groups, maybe groups of 3s, sometimes groups of 4s, depending on how you can be evenly divided. The larger the group, the more harder it is, and of course, the more time management you need to consider. Of course, the larger the group, but the smaller the group, the easier it is. Generally speaking, 3 to 4 is what you will see in most places. With 3 to 4 people in a group, one of the things that you then have to do is they put you in a place where you'll be observed by maybe 1 or 2 assessors. And these assessors are there to take notes on each person. Now, each assessor would often have like a list of competencies or grades that they need to be given to each area that they observe. Whether it's your leadership, your communication, your situational awareness, time management, workload management, decision making, all these competencies that I have just highlighted, okay, amongst others. Don't get me wrong, every airline may prioritize other things, okay, or may include other things. But the point here is the common ones are the pilot competency items that I've already listed. If you haven't seen my pilot competency guide, check it out below. But if you want to just go online, go on Google, just search pilot competencies, and you would see a list of things. And those things are generally what they are testing for. Now, they are testing that within the group environment. Now, one of the things that I always say is, as you find yourself in this group, before we even get into the exercise, my recommendation to you, and that is one of the things I want to take away into this video, is as you meet the colleagues that you will be tested with on the day of the assessment, be friendly. That's something, not to be over friendly that you then lose focus on what you are doing on that day, but be friendly, introduce yourself, get to meet everybody, if possible, that is in that room, and maybe have some form of interaction. Hey, how was your day? How was your trip down here? Hope you didn't have any issues. Just form some casual conversations. This is key. Let me tell you why. When you're able to open up the air or the room for people to talk to you, all right, it gives you that upper hand when you show up to that assessment with the people that you've already formed some form of rapport with. And that is key. That is very, very important, because one of the issues that people experience when it comes to group assessment is that you show up to a place where you and the other people in that space being tested haven't created any rapport, you don't know anything about each other, and you are put in a spot to make decisions and do things together. So your ability to work cohesively on the spot really becomes difficult. And that is the reason why I always say that when you show up to this assessment, try to break out of your own bubble. Don't just form your own bubble and isolate yourself. Don't be over friendly that you then lose focus and you seem like someone that is unprofessional, but be someone that is open to talk to, someone that you can share ideas with, someone you can talk to that people can perceive as that, because that would help people to open up to you. You build this rapport, people get to know your name. And when you show up to this assessment, it's like you're showing up with your friends. And trust me, that puts you on a new level of just demonstrating your competencies, because now you're free. You know this person, maybe this is John, Sarah, Mike, whatever their names are, right? You already know these people. You've already built some form of rapport. You already talked about their day with you, and that gives you the hand. Now, this is if you have the time to do all of this. So once you build the rapport, that's my first recommendation. You show up to this assessment, you already probably know their names. The second thing is understand that you have a list of competencies that you're tested upon. And I'm going to list one of the important ones. Leadership is one. So how are you going to demonstrate that you're a leader in this environment? How would you show that you can lead and make decisions? And this is where people can sometimes sway in two extremes. In one side, you have people that are extremely dominant, okay, and they want to control every aspect of the assessment. When you find yourself in that environment, then that can be difficult. If you are the person that has been extremely dominant, then that may not look too good for you. On the other hand, if you are the person that is being led in an extremely dominant way, it can be a difficult position to be in. So what you want to do is, let me tackle the first person that is extremely dominant. If you find yourself talking too much, not giving people enough room to explain or express themselves, or you're trying to dictate how things are going, remember, slow down, okay? The goal is not to lead the entire session. The goal is to be able to demonstrate that you can lead when appropriate. So when you're asked a certain action or opinion about something, make sure you have something to say, and not just something that is of one sentence. Make sure you're able to back it up with reasons and facts based on the information you're given. So for example, you have a scenario where maybe specific information has been given, whether numbers, whether it's conditions, right? Those things need to be stated in the reasons that you are given for that scenario. If you find yourself being led by someone that is extremely dominant, then you want to position yourself as someone that can also take back control. And how do you do that? If somebody's talking, all right, over you and is not giving you time to express yourself, politely ask the person, do you mind if I share my own opinion about this situation? That is how you take back control. You ask a question, and if the person says no, of course, that would reflect badly on the person, not on you. But most of the time, the person would agree that you share your opinion, and that is where you take the light back. You then share your own opinion and laid out with facts. Now, before you end your conversation, the way you then switch the roles is that you then ask this other person or another person, what are your thoughts about what I've just shared? Because now the light is back on you. I hope this makes sense, and I hope that people will stay to this point of this video, because here's the deal. YouTube is very difficult. If it's not edited and extremely catchy and all that, people don't listen. But I hope that if you're staying here, you're getting value. And if you have, don't forget to drop a like on the video. So you end with a question by asking, based on what I've just shared, or based on what my opinions are, what do you think? What do you think we should do? Now, the person is now forced to respond to you because you are back in control. Hopefully, the person has some good things to say. If the person doesn't have anything to say, put the light back on somebody. Or if the person answers you based on what this person has said, maybe the person is in agreement with you, maybe the person is in disagreement, it's okay. It's an opinion. The next thing is, with that information, you can put it back to another person. Like, okay, based on this, or John and I agree on doing these actions, A, B, and C. Based on A, B, and C, what does Sarah think, right? What do you think, Sarah? Share your own opinions. Now the light is back on you. You need to be able to navigate this complex dynamics, and that is how you do that. So one of the things you can do is through question, if you find yourself being led in an extremely dominant way. Now, the other thing also is that understand that this is all teamwork. Okay, this is all about teamwork. So you need to be able to make decisions as a team. Do not be swayed by trying to make decisions all by yourself, or by thinking that your own decision is the ultimate. That's not the goal. The goal is to be able to come to a conclusion, a logical conclusion, and then ask for your teammates' input on that as well. And then you go at it together. On the aspect of this next competency, which is communication, this is another big part. You see, communication is what we do on a regular basis. I'm communicating with you right now, although we're not exchanging, there's no exchange of information, and that's not what you want to do on your video assessment. You want to make sure that you guys exchange ideas. And in my communication guide that I have below, if you are interested, I actually shared some of the factors that you should consider in your communication. Most especially, one of them is feedback. When you share ideas with people, don't just leave them to go without giving you some feedback, because that's how you get to know if you are understood. So what have they understood by what you shared? Did they understand what the goal is? Did they understand what the focus is? And do they know what the actions they need to take in order to get the desired outcome? All those things are important, and those are things that you can get through feedback. And sometimes it may be a feedback of how did I do? How did I perform? How did I speak well? Did I, communicate the important things? All those are very important. But your communication, your ability to communicate concisely and stay in focus, very key. And what do I mean by stay in focus? Do not share things that are not pertinent to the task at hand. If you are trying to maybe bring things outside of the exercise, you are likely going to find yourself wasting time, distracting your group and the group effort. What you want to do is to focus at the task at hand. Everything you need to resolve a particular problem is often indicated on the exercise you're given. So do not try to, pull in ideas that are or that may not be necessary. The next thing, your ability to handle conflict. Understand that conflict will come up. And what do I mean by conflict? I mean things that are not in agreement with your ideas or with your own actions. So for example, 3 people are in a group. All of them may say, let's do A. Or 2 people may say, let's do A. And a third person may say, let's do B. Well, how do you then come to an agreement? The goal is to be able to find a balance. Now, if you are the type of person that you believe that you have the support of your other person, or person, let's say John, is in support of your idea. So 2 of you already have a vote in decision, right? Now there's a third person that is in disagreement with the action that you guys want to take. It is important that you let the person state their reasoning, okay? When you state the reasoning, then look at the outcome that the person gets. You base your action on the outcome you want to arrive at. That is the key thing. Which of those actions will lead you to the desired outcome. If going by your own decision, you and John's, okay, just an hypothetical name here now, you and John's actions will lead to a better outcome, then it is now up to you guys to be able to say, okay, based on what you've said and your outcome, or the outcome we would arrive at based on what this other person, let's say Sarah, says, our action will lead to this result, this outcome that we want, which is the desired goal for the objective of the exercise. All right. And based on what Sarah just said, this is the outcome we get. So looking at this, it is obvious and better for us to be able to make decision going by our thoughts or our actions. And hopefully you convince Sarah in this case to go with you as well, because that is the goal. Now, I know that you may not have all the time in the world to be able to do this, but it is critical that you get everybody on board. You don't leave anybody behind. You guys are working together as a team, and the goal is to arrive at a conclusion that makes sense as a team. Now, of course, common things: remain professional. Do not, your body language, the way you're talking to your friends, all those things are key. And I don't think I want to start going over those things, all right? So for example, if I'm talking to John, I'm looking at John. Hey, John, what do you think? What are your inputs? What would you say about this current situation? Or at this stage in this exercise, John, what do you think we should do? Hey, Sarah, what have you come up with? Based on what you've read and based on your understanding of this problem, what do you think we should do? Hey, Mike, what are your suggestions, right? So you know everybody's name. You're looking at them. You're talking to them. You are not just, looking to one side or looking down or being quiet. Those things can reflect badly if you don't use them well, because hey, you are being observed. Two people are observing, writing things down, maybe two, maybe three. Make sure you do that. Now, the important part: TDODAR, Tango Delta Oscar Delta Alpha Romeo. Now, the T stands for time, the D stands for diagnosis, the O stands for options, the D stands for decide, the A stands for act or action, and R stands for review. Now, the goal here is that you want to be able to share all these factors amongst each other. All right. So for example, time, make sure everybody's aware of what is going on. So you have time now is 10 o'clock. We have 15 minutes. So that means our time up or to be done is 10:15. Everybody's aware of that, right? And everybody knows how you are progressing through the stages of this exercise according to the time. Next thing is diagnosis. What is the problem that we have right here? What are we trying to do? Once we know the problem and we identify the problem, make sure everybody's in agreement, right? Do you agree this is the problem? Do you agree that is the problem? Do you agree this is the problem, right? Depending on what term you want to use, the point here is everybody knows exactly what the problem is, and everybody knows what the outcome should be. In this case, the objective of this problem. Okay, so we've diagnosed the person. So for example, somebody's sick. What is the objective? To get a person to heal. It's as simple as that. We don't want to complicate it. We don't make it too lengthy, because that way everybody can retain this information. We don't have plenty of time. Next thing is options. What are the options we have to heal this person? All right, we have A, B, C, and D. Do you agree with these options? Do you agree with these options? Do you agree? Do you, we move on from there. Now, based on that, we then decide, based on these options we have, what are we picking? Which ones are we picking? Are we choosing option A? Are we choosing option B? Why are we going to choose option A over B? Hey, John, what do you think? Why do you think we should choose option C over A? Mike, what do you think? Which one do you think, Sarah? Do you think we should go with option C, and why? Make sure you get their input, and everybody puts that information out there. And now we narrow it down. Whether we started from maybe 4 options, we narrow it down to 2 options, and then we make a decision based on what I've just shared: the desired outcome, the objective. Which one gives us the desired result we want? The one that puts us as close as possible to the desired result is what we want. Now, it is vital to state that the goal isn't to get a right outcome, because generally speaking, there's never a right or wrong answer in some of these scenarios. There's some that will be logical, of course. Safety, prioritizing safety is key. There's some that would prioritize maybe rescuing people that are in a burning fire, just an example, or a potential danger in a dangerous environment, and eliminating the danger could be the goal. But outside of those, sometimes, in prioritizing the young over the old, or the young over the young, or the women over the over men, those things can sometimes be just, again, subjective. So there's not right or wrong. but how you then work together as a team to arrive at the answer is what they are looking for. Okay. So you then act. Once you decide, everybody agrees, okay, we're going with option A, and here's why. Everybody's in agreement. John, you're on board. Everybody's on board. Cool. We move on to the next thing. We act on this. All right. And this is where things get interesting, because generally speaking, there's often a change in the process. And this is often used to distract and sometimes detract you in, your time management. So this is where you need to remind each other, right? We are 10 minutes into this. We only have 5 minutes left. What are the things we need to do? Where are we based on this new information? With this new information, what is changing? Does it change the outcome that we're looking for? Would it then impact the actions that we need to take? If it does, then we make the necessary adjustments and we move on. We don't waste time, because remember, the goal of that change is often to distract you from doing one important thing that I think a lot of people kind of just gloss over, and that is review. You see, review is the last R in the TDODAR acronym, and your ability to review what you have done together and refresh your minds of what the problem was, what you did, and the outcome you got from that action can really set you up for a good debrief afterwards. So review is, we review what we had, the problems we identified, the actions, the options we had, and the ones we picked, and the actions we took. Now, of course, if there's a change, the new changes that we saw, and then, here we are with the outcome that we arrived at. Currently, we have 2 minutes left. Any other things that we missed in this? If there's any other thing we missed, let's talk about it now, and then we wrap it up so that the review is concluded. Now, one of the things I always say is that, remember, sometimes they'll ask you questions about this exercise. Often like, what do you think? What would you do better? How would you have handled it better? Things like that. Be ready for this type of actions. Be ready for this type of exercise afterwards. So it's not just concluding the exercise. Sometimes you're also being tested on maybe what you learned in the process and what you could have done, or what you'd have done differently, to see how you learn and you adapt to things. And this takes me on to your ability to adapt in the environment you find yourself. You always have to be able to adapt to changes. You would find yourself with people that are extremely dominant. Like I said, you find yourself with people that are extremely shy and not talking. You need to be able to bring everybody to an equal level. And you do that through engagement. Engage with people, ask questions, direct actions. Hey, John, how much time do we have? If John is a timekeeper, for example, right? Hey, John, what do you think about this action? Or what would you do differently? You engage, right? And make sure that you, again, pay attention to body language and all these other factors. Now, it is important to make sure that you follow the TDODAR steps. And I wanted to just share this with you. It might have been a little longer than I wanted, but I hope that you benefited from this one. If you have, don't forget to drop a like on the video, and I'll see you in the future one.